everybody, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another video. So today I'm doing something a little bit different. I've done a few tip videos for Disneyland Paris before, but obviously, as some of you may know, I recently visited Disneyland Shanghai and absolutely loved it, had the best time. But there was a lot of things that I learned whilst I was there that I really wish I had known before I visited Disneyland Shanghai for the first time. So I put together a list of things, a list of tips for you guys or for anybody that is visiting Shanghai in general or Disneyland in Shanghai, in the hope that it can help you guys and provide some extra information before you go. Because if I had known the things I'm about to tell you before I went, then I would have been a lot less stressed on my first day or when I arrived in the parks. So I've broke them up into a few categories. I have a category on Wi-Fi and apps. I have a category on transport and weather. I have a category on money, and I have a category on just the park itself. But first I'm going to tell you how I booked my trip. So basically I'm cabin crew, so I didn't really have to book my flight. All of that was done for me obviously, and so was the hotel. So I can't comment on any flights or hotels into Shanghai, but I travelled from London Heathrow. So this video is probably going to be more specific to the people travelling from London or the UK, so just bear that in mind when you're watching this video. And I booked my ticket through an app or a website called Klook. That's spelled K-L-O-O-K, and it was really easy. I actually booked a 2-day ticket, but I was too tired when I got there, so I only used 1 day. The tickets come out at about £75 per day, and I think it comes with maybe a slight discount if you book 2 days at once. So when I booked my 2 days, I'm pretty sure it costed me about £135 roughly, and then it's about £75 per day. Klook actually tell you this in your confirmation, but make sure you bring a form of ID with you when you get to the turnstiles, because they will ask for it as well. Your ticket comes as like almost like an e-ticket, and it's just your confirmation on your phone. So make sure you've got screenshots of that when you go into the turnstiles, and when you go through the turnstiles, it will scan it, and then they'll provide you with an actual paper ticket. And then it's only once you've got that paper ticket that you can actually link it to the Disneyland app and make your Premier Access bookings if you want to do that, or your standby passes, etc. So whilst I was in the queue waiting to get into the park, I had access to the app, but I couldn't do anything. Well, I personally didn't have access because I was struggling with the Wi-Fi, which I'm going to come on to in a minute. But you would have access to the app in the queue. You just won't be able to book your standby pass, any Premier Access that you want to purchase, stuff like that you can't do until you've got your actual ticket, because that has an extra barcode that you then scan to go into your app, if that makes sense. I wish I'd known that before. I mean, you probably could Google that. I didn't know that first, and I was like, how on earth do I get into the app? I can't book anything. So that's my first tip. And another tip obviously is to book it online. It's much cheaper, much easier, much quicker, because you don't have to do the extra queue, because the queue at the beginning of the park is a lot. I'm going to come to that later. But speaking of the app, that brings me on to my first category, which is apps and Wi-Fi. If you're going to take anything away from this video, it's this section to do with the Wi-Fi. I have lots of notes on this because it's quite stressful. So, a few things. Whilst you're in Shanghai, a lot of the apps will not work. So things like Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, Snapchat, they don't have that over there. So you won't have access unless you have a VPN. And a VPN is basically like something you can download into your phone. I just did the 7-day trial because I was only there for a little bit, and then I didn't have to pay for anything. So you can download some on the app stores, and it's basically just like a software, I suppose, that almost tricks your phone into thinking it's back home rather than in Shanghai. So like it doesn't know where you are, if that makes sense. I'll have to try and find a better explanation of a VPN. But anyway, if you download the VPN, you can then trick your phone into not knowing where you are, and then you're able to use WhatsApp, etc. So that was my first panic over. I thought I wasn't going to be able to contact anyone from home, but I was able to with the VPN. However, this is a huge tip. This is something I did not know, and I wish I had known. So please listen. You can't use the Disney Wi-Fi unless you have a Chinese phone number. Yes, baffling, I know. However, there are some very, very helpful people in Disneyland that can help you with this. So when we first went into the park, we obviously did what I said earlier. We scanned our Klook ticket, got our paper ticket, and was like, right, we're gonna go onto the app, we're gonna connect to the Wi-Fi, scan our ticket, and then the app is ours and we're good to go. This was not the thing. When you go onto the Wi-Fi, it comes up with a box that basically asks you for your name, and it also asks you for your phone number. However, if you put in any old phone number, like from the UK or from the US, it will not let you connect to the Wi-Fi. It has to be a Chinese number. So your next step after this, well, obviously you won't do this step because you'll already know from me. So you're gonna go straight to this place. After you've gone through the turnstiles and you've gone straight into the park, you need to go right, and you need to go to guest relations. They are very lovely, they are very helpful, and all you need to say is that because I don't have a Chinese phone number, I cannot access the Wi-Fi. On the day for us, we were very stressed, but basically all they did was take our phones, they put their own phone number in, which is obviously a Chinese phone number, into our phones, and we were able to connect to the Wi-Fi. Bless their hearts, they then went the extra mile and set up our app for us and told us how to scan the barcode in, which is obviously very simple if you've used the Disney app before. Scan the barcode in off of your paper ticket, and then you're able to link up and get your standby passes, your fast passes, not your fast pass, sorry, Premier Access. They actually booked one of our standby passes for us straight away without us even realising, which was very helpful. But yeah, they are very lovely in there. Do not feel scared to go into them, but as soon as you go in there, you will not be able to access the Wi-Fi unless you have a Chinese phone number. Go to guest relations, they will sort it for you. We love them. So thank you very much to guest relations for de-stressing us on that morning, because it was a nightmare. All we wanted to do was go straight in, look at the castle, go to a ride. And that was not the case because obviously we couldn't see any wait times, any character meet times, any show times, anything until we had Wi-Fi for this app. So first things first, go to guest relations. Biggest tip ever. Other than that, when it comes to Wi-Fi and apps, that is the main thing. Obviously the Disney app you can download from any app store. It's free. It's very helpful. If you've done Disneyland Paris or Disneyland California or Disney World, they all work very similar, so you should be able to navigate that pretty easily. But just make sure you can connect to the Wi-Fi in order to do that, otherwise you're gonna be struggling all day. Moving on to my next category is weather and transport. Weather was a bit of a nightmare whilst we were out there, I can't lie. It was absolutely pissing it down whilst we were there. Help us. We had somebody at the taxi rank actually selling the ponchos, but they sell them obviously all around the park. So if you've already got one, bring it. If you haven't, you can buy them loads in there. However, like I said, yes, it was raining, but it was actually really, really hot. The sun was blowing at some point, so make sure you bring sunglasses. But yeah, you shouldn't need coats and jackets and things because it is hot. I always bring one of the little Loungefly bags. I will show you one for reference. So this is the bag that I took with me. It's just a classic Loungefly mini bag. You see these everywhere. It's a little sparkly one, and it's just got this like plain lining on the inside. This was fighting against me the whole day. Not the outside, but the inside. So originally, because it was raining, I was really worried, obviously because I have my camera equipment and stuff, I was worried it was going to get wet because of the rain, so I was putting it inside my bag. However, it was still getting wet because it was inside the bag and it was hot. And I'm assuming it's because of the lining inside my bag. I was struggling to deal with the heat, and it was getting a bit sweaty in there. So a lot of my stuff was close to getting ruined, like my passport pages. Some of them were a bit crinkly, which can be really risky actually. Some places won't even let you travel if it's like that. So just bear that in mind. Bring a nice little waterproof bag, or at least something a little bit better than these Loungeflies, because you're gonna need it. So that's all I have to say on weather. Transport to the park. I was coming from a hotel sort of in the area. It was about like a 30-minute drive. If you know me or if you've been on this channel for a while, then you'll know that I'm a little bit anxious about trains and like tube trains and stuff. So I was like, there's no chance I'm taking the subway in Shanghai. I won't even do it in London unless I have to. So I was taking a taxi. However, you can get the train, you can get like the subway out there, which apparently is really easy to do. I've never even looked into it, but when I called the hotel reception and was like, what's the easiest way to get to Disney? They said first thing was train. So if you don't get scared about trains, definitely look up the trains. I think it's a lot cheaper. However, the taxi that I took was really cheap. So it cost me 100 to 120 Chinese yen, which comes out to the equivalent of maybe 10 to 15 pounds per way. And we split that between two of us as well. So yes, it was actually a really cheap taxi, especially compared to what you get in London or the UK in general. So I would recommend getting a taxi. I actually looked into Uber. When I originally Googled it, Google told me that Uber was a thing in Shanghai. Truth is, it is now not. They have their own version of Uber, which is called like DD. It's like spelled capital D, lowercase I, uppercase D, lowercase I. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. DD, die. whichever one. But yeah, they have that. However, when I downloaded it and I tried to navigate it, it was all obviously in Chinese, and I don't speak or read Chinese, so that was not going down well for me. So all I did was contact the hotel reception and get them to order me a taxi. So they taxied me out there, and then they actually have a really big taxi rank outside Disneyland, and you just queue and they are there at park close. I don't know about throughout the day if for some reason you're not going to stay there the whole day, but there was a very large taxi rank and the queue went down so quickly. It was lovely, so easy, so cheap. Recommend taxi if you don't want to get the train. So that's the transport and getting into the parks and away from the parks. It was really simple, really easy to do, no problems there at all. Moving on to my third category, which I said is monies. So I got quite a shock whilst I was in Shanghai. This could actually be relevant to just in Shanghai in general and Disneyland Shanghai. So we quickly worked out when we went to go and get some food that our bank cards do not work in Shanghai. Interesting, I know, that's PIN and contactless. And even when I held it up to the lady and was like, do you take this? And mine's just the NatWest like MasterCard. She was like, nope. So I was there like, oh, it's fine, I have my Revolut card. They do not accept Revolut either. I'm pretty sure one of the crew members actually managed to use their Monzo card. So Monzo, I think they accept out there. Revolut, they don't. And our normal bank cards, Barclays, Lloyds, NatWest, Halifax, all that, they don't seem to work in Shanghai, which is something I really wish I knew before I got there, because I didn't get any cash out. So get cash out is what I'm saying. However, Disneyland Shanghai accept Revolut. They accept Monzo, they accept Revolut, but they don't accept the normal bank cards. So my main tip is get some cash out in their currency. They have two currencies, if you will, in Shanghai. If you get confused because it's called two different things, they are the same thing. It's the same amount each time as well. Like there's not a difference in exchange rates. They're the same. So it's either called Chinese yen. It's spelled Y-U-A-N. However, they were pronouncing it yen out there. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm going to say Chinese yen for now. But yeah, they have Chinese yen or they have renminbi. Again, could be saying it wrong. Apologies if I am. Please correct me down in the comments if I am. But the codes for it is either CNY for Chinese yen or for renminbi it's RMB. Both of them are the same. They do the same thing. They're the same amounts. Do not panic. Do not let that stress you out because they're the same. But please get some money out. One thing to know is that everything in Shanghai is cheaper than it is in London pretty much. So you won't need to get out as much as you probably think. But to be on the safe side, because you can't use your cards or Revolut unless you're in Disney, please get some cash out. I was able to get some whilst I was out there. I used like a little ATM, but it was difficult to navigate because obviously as much as they had like an English option, their translation is obviously then different, so I struggled to know what it was I was doing. And I could have dealt without it. I really could have done without that, to be honest. So get money out, save yourself the hassle, okay? And then that moves me on to my fourth and final category, which is the park itself. So the first thing to know about Disneyland Park is that it's beautiful. It's such a lovely park. The castle is amazing. You can actually go inside the castle, and there's a little ride that we did in the vlog as well. I think it was called Voyage of the Crystal Grotto or something. It's on like a little river and it takes you through the castle, which is really sweet as well. But yeah, the castle's beautiful. Out in Shanghai Disneyland, what I felt was their forte was their projection and their music was just spot on. The parades were really good. Loved their parades. They have character meet and greets everywhere. Like the main people, Mickey and Minnie were there, Donald and Daisy were there, they had Oswald the rabbit, there was loads. They have like other characters other than the normal Disney ones that you would recognise. They have like Buffy the Disney Bear and then like all of his crew. I had never even really heard of them before, so if that's offended anyone then I apologise. And they are obsessed with him out there, like they're obsessed with all of them. So we found that the queues for like Donald and Daisy and Mickey and Minnie were actually really low, so take advantage of that. The staff out there are lovely. It's just a really good place to be. My first tip is to arrive nice and early. When I googled, it told me to arrive an hour early and I was like, what? And I was like, but I'll do it. And if you saw in the vlog, it was well worth doing. The queue at the time when we arrived was maybe, we were like 30 to 50 people behind. By the time it got to opening, that queuing system was long, so long. So if you can get up early, if you can afford to waste an hour of your time standing in a queue, then do it. If I did it in the rain, you can do it, okay? You can do it. It helped us out especially because when we got in there, obviously we thought we were going to be able to go straight onto things and we couldn't. So you guys, after watching this video, are now going to arrive an hour early and know that you're straight in there, straight to guest relations, sort out your Wi-Fi and you're off to go. You're not wasting any more time. So yeah, try to arrive at least 30 minutes to an hour early if you can. And speaking of arriving early for things, something else that I also mentioned in part 2 of the vlog was the fireworks show at the end. The show that they've got currently going on, which ends the day pretty much, like their firework projection show, is called Illuminate, and I think it was about 9 o'clock it went on for us when we was there. I'm assuming that changes depending on the season, but by 7 PM we were just like walking through the Gardens of Imagination in the middle just to have a little look, see what was going on, and people were crowding that castle. They were ready 2 hours before they had their spot ready to watch. And so when we then arrived about an hour early with a snack, if you watched the vlogs you saw my spot for the show at the end, and I was quite far back. I had a decent spot. I was in agony because I was trying to film it for you guys and I was like leaning over this barrier, and everyone, very much like Paris, is like phones in the air. Like they don't seem to do that at Disney World. Like everyone's quite nice about it. California, everyone's quite nice about it. Paris and Shanghai, everyone's like phones in faces, but you know, you gotta do what you gotta do, I suppose. So yeah, I just bear that in mind. I mean, spending 2 hours before a show, I'm all for getting a good spot, but I don't know if I would sit for 2 hours doing nothing, just waiting for the show. But if you really want a specific spot, then 2 hours is your window. I know that's long, but it's your window. Unfortunately, they seem to just arrive really early to things. Like they'd be great in interviews. If you don't arrive early, then you're late. So another thing to know is that, like all of the Disneys recently, they are scrapping the fast pass system. Fuming. When I originally googled it again, I don't know if Google just was glitching this day or if it just maybe hasn't updated because the travel from London to Shanghai is only just started up again. I don't know. But when I first googled it, Google told me that the fast pass system, as it used to be, was still a thing. So I was like, oh wow, I can try out the fast pass system like the old days, blah blah blah. That's not the case. They've reverted to Premier Access as well. So if you know how Premier Access works in California or Paris, then you'll know exactly how it works there. It's like a paid fast pass system that you can access through the app. So if Google tells you that the old fast pass system is still a thing, it's a liar. It is not. They do a Premier Access, so have a little Google on Premier Access and see what you can do with it. I think there's quite a few rides on Premier Access, to be fair. They also have a standby pass for one particular show, which obviously is the show that I was telling you about in the vlogs and earlier on in this video. I was saying that we wanted to desperately book this standby pass for a show called Mickey's Storybook Adventure, and when I tell you it is a must-see, you have to see it. Make sure you go and see it. There's no if, buts and maybes about this show. If you miss it, you will regret it, so make sure you see it. And you have to book a standby pass for that to gain entry into that show, which you can do on the app. So make sure you do that. It's nice and easy. It's pretty much there in front of you when you open the app. It'll be on the homepage. If not, the show is called Mickey's Storybook Adventure, and you just have to book a time slot. Book the nearest time slot that works for you. Go for gold. You don't have to pay for it. Beautiful. There's probably a lot more things that I could say, a lot more tips I could give out, but off the top of my head and based on my one experience, my first time experience for one day in Disneyland, that's all I could think of right now. Hopefully I get to go again, and if I have more tips then I'll definitely let you know. And if any of you guys have been before and you have tips, please let us know in the comments because it'd be really, really helpful. But I want to leave you on one last thing, or two last things I suppose. I recommend that you learn some of their language out there. I think it's polite to do it anyway, but also we expect a lot of people to just know the English language. I don't know why we do that. It's so annoying and really lazy of us actually. In Shanghai I found like their English out there isn't as good as some places, which is understandable. So yeah, bear that in mind. Please learn some keywords like questions. I made sure that I learned like the word for taxi because I knew I was going to be getting one. Things like that. Clue yourself up on some important words that you might need to know because it will definitely help you out. And also have an open mind. It's a completely different culture and it's beautiful for that reason. And a lot of the people are going to be very different. So please bear that in mind. Have an open mind when you go and just enjoy it. It's not going to be the same as every other park. It's going to be different, but we love it because it's different. Every park is different. And I had such an amazing time there, so I really hope that you guys do as well. I really hope this tip video has helped. If you could think of anything else, like I said, please put it down in the comments. And yeah, if you're going to Disneyland Shanghai, then I am jealous, and I hope you have the best time ever. If you're not, then please consider it because it was a beautiful trip. I'd love to go again, but next on my list is Hong Kong and Tokyo because they're two that I haven't been to before. So exciting times. Anyway, I'm gonna love you and leave you. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it's been helpful. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.